Track Record with your hosts Mike Shea and Robert Yetter. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Guten Tag. It's your favorite musical douchebags, Robert Yetter and
Mike Shea.
Okay, we did it. It's Track Record. It's Eventide Entertainment.
Take two.
Entertainment for the soul. We've got, it's going to be the first week of the month of June. So that means our special episode, the best of May. We got a new release in May that we have chosen to goosh about, and we are going to goosh indeed.
Oh yeah, we are. Got some good music in the month of May. Got some bad music too, but we got a lot of good music in the month of May.
Yeah. The bad one is Five Finger Death Punch. We already know this.
Shut up, Robert.
We're going to put it out
yes,
right at the front.
Shut up, Robert. Yeah, it's not good. I'm saying that as a fan. It's not good, guys.
Are they like going with like a Metallica feel? Like, come on.
Yeah, especially with that album title. But,
yeah.
You know, hey, even Metallica had a couple of bad albums. So.
Well, I can say that I didn't listen to the Five Finger Death Punch album because I never will. But I know that it was just awful. And I hope...
scathing reviews.
Good. It's about time they got put in their place. I'm sure it still sold like a metric fuck ton.
Well, yeah. You got to buy it to know it's bad.
Yeah. Well, we had I think May was kind of a slow month for like really good stuff coming out.
Well, it's we're in the middle of festival season right now. There's not a lot of music coming out because everyone's been getting ready for touring and hitting the festivals. We'll see a bigger wave coming in the later months of the year.
The good stuffs don't come out till fall after festival season.
Yeah, because now everyone's on the festivals playing the hits, and while they're playing the hits, they're taking that inspiration and writing new stuff. They'll record it in the fall, release it late fall, early winter, and into the earlier parts of next year. That's how this shit works, people.
Yeah, Bo. You can also Google it, too, and it'll tell you. Yeah,
it's pretty... We're not like... I mean, yeah, we're geniuses, but we go on the internet and learn this shit, guys. It's not exactly insider trading going on over here.
You guys remember the Track Record mascot?
Yeah, Lily's back.
She's in full spirit.
And I apologize now if you hear this weird, loud, raucous noise in the background. I am getting over a cold, so I have a nasty throat cough going on right now.
How dare you be a human?
I know, right? God.
It's,
Jeez, don't... So if you hear just somebody in the background going, "Oh," that's me. I'm not throwing up. I'm just dying slowly.
There you go. Well, how about you tell the folks
after that pleasant introduction,
our through the phlegm and the unpleasantries, let's tell the masses of listeners what you got, what you want them to listen to that came out in May.
I got something special. So I talked about it on my show. I talked about it on this show at one point. I got to go to a completely impromptu concert last month at the beginning of May in Cincinnati to see Jonathan Davis, the lead singer of Korn, do a solo performance. Now, I was not aware that he had a solo album coming out or that he was even going to be in Cincinnati. A friend of mine won tickets and was like, "Hey, you want to go to the show?" And I was like, "Sure, I don't know what to expect, but let's go." And so going in, I didn't know if I was going to hear him do a bunch of Korn covers or maybe just do the soundtrack to Queen of the Damned, something like that. And he put on a show of entirely original music. Well, I say entirely. He did one song from Queen of the Damned, and he did a Neil Diamond cover, which was just awesome. And everything else he did was totally original, brand new music that nobody had heard yet. The album didn't come out until 5 or 6 days ago, like right at the end of the May. And what he did, he comes out on stage, and he doesn't have like his fancy naked lady mic stand. He's not wearing the kilt. He's just wearing regular clothes. And the guys on stage with him are his Korn drummer, another guitar player, a bass player who wasn't playing a bass, was using an upright cello, a violin player, and a keyboardist with like 4 different keyboards going, like a synth board and all kinds of stuff. And what he played was just this like symphonic, industrial type goth rock is the best way I can describe it. Real old school, very different from Korn. I mean, it sounds like a little bit like Korn because Jonathan Davis has such a unique vocal style. So there is that slight hint of Korn in it because you can't listen to anything Jonathan Davis sings and not hear Korn because, yeah. If it was some generic ass rock or metal singer, you might not know the difference, but when you've got a vocalist with such a unique vocal style, it does stand out. And so as soon as I'm halfway through the concert and I am transfixed on what I'm listening to. And again, going into this show, I didn't know he had an album coming out. So as I'm at Bogart's in Cincinnati listening to him perform, I'm on my phone going over to the iTunes app and hitting pre-order on the album because I'm like, no, I gotta have this now. I've heard 4 or 5 songs off of it, and I have to have this album. So that I got that pre-order in, and I just sat there and just looked at my phone every day, just like, come on, why can't it be just download already? I want the album. So when the day finally came that I woke up, and it was like, your pre-order downloaded last night. I got so excited, and I've had it on repeat since. The album by Jonathan Davis is called Black Labyrinth. I like the album art. It's very simple. It's Jonathan Davis himself in kind of what looks like an old church, just surrounded by lit candles on the ground, just standing in this field of candles. Now, a little background on the album. This is something that he had been working on pretty much since Queen of the Damned. After he got hired to do the score and the soundtrack for that film, he really wanted to do a solo album. And he did some solo stuff, had a solo band for a little while that was called Jonathan Davis and the SFA. They did a couple of live albums, but they never did any like original solo recorded stuff. They just played a couple of shows together that was basically Korn covers, Queen of the Damned songs, and that was basically it. It was just kind of him getting his feet wet. But then he started writing his own stuff over the course of just years. And finally, in May of this year, he released Black Labyrinth. The first 2 singles off the album were called What It Is and Everyone. What It is kind of this really slow burn, haunting song. Everyone's a little more faster paced, but still the thing that stands out with this album against everything he's done with Korn is that when he writes music for Korn, from a lyrical standpoint, everything feels personal, but not necessarily honest. Like, you can tell he's writing from a personal place, but it's still got that sheen, that veneer of trying to appeal to the Korn audience. So he's taking personal feelings and twisting them to fit the sound of Korn. With his solo stuff, only person he needs to please is himself. This is his music, and so the songwriting still, you can tell, comes from a very personal place, but it feels more honest and more organic. And so I really appreciated the lyricism in this. What I also appreciated is, as I mentioned before, he didn't just fall down the Korn rabbit hole with this. A lot of singers, when they do a solo project, they just write what they know, and so what you get is, the guys from Thin Lizzy starting a side project called Black Star Riders, but they just play Thin Lizzy covers whenever they play a concert. And I can say that firsthand because I've seen them live earlier this year. With with Jonathan Davis, he's not trying to patronize the Korn fans. He's writing the music he wants to make, and whether the Korn fans like it or not, you can tell he doesn't care. He's there for himself. While he does have a set touring band, the list of musicians that worked on this album is quite extensive. Jonathan Davis himself did the vocals. He wrote the guitar and keyboard parts. He did a lot of the violin. He played the sitar. He did a lot of the programming and production on the album. But he also had guys like Wes Borland come on and do some guitars. And if you don't know who Wes Borland is, he's the guitarist for Limp Bizkit. He's also had guys like Miles Mosley, Ray Luzier, Mike Dillon, Shankar come on. He had like 10 other musicians that came on and contributed. And you could tell this was just very much a passion project for him. The album has a fantastic flow. It's not quite seamless, but there are quite a few songs that do flow one into the other almost seamlessly. And much like Judas Priest's last album, this is another album where every song feels like it was deliberately placed. Like What It Is, which is the first single off the album, is the last song on the album. It was the first single released back in January, but it is number 13 on the album. And I appreciate little things like that because that shows, whereas a lot of bands nowadays, they put all the singles and all the ones that are like their big numbers at the beginning of the album and just kind of let the filler fill out the rest of the album. This one, the arrangement of the track listing feels very deliberate. And I like that. Because the order that he did these on the album is almost what it was at the concert. So you can, and I've mentioned in the past, I appreciate things like that. You know, we're in a day and age where a lot of older bands are playing like their debut albums at concerts beginning to end. And when you're only playing one album, I personally think it's important to be able to play that album beginning to end. Because if you're not going to arrange the songs in the order that they give the best performance, then I don't understand why you'd put them in that order. So I really commend Jonathan Davis and the whole production crew and the mastering and all that for putting that together. The album hasn't like really broken a lot of walls down commercially, which is common for things like this. Because again, this wasn't Jonathan Davis trying to go solo and break off from Korn and be a big solo star. Because they just had a new album come out that, like, took over the fucking world when it did. This is Jonathan Davis just doing something that he was passionate about. Again, he wrote this album over the course of, like, 4 years. And this was just him doing something he wanted to do. You know, the place I saw him perform at, Bogarts, when I saw Korn last year, they were playing this huge outdoor arena. Seeing Jonathan Davis play solo was at Bogarts in Cincinnati, and if you've been to Bogarts, it's a small venue. It's a very small, intimate, live venue. And that's the kind of thing he's doing with this, is he's not trying to be this big solo rock star. He's just trying to do some passionate music. And you really feel that listening to this beginning to end. The lead single, What It Is, as well as Everyone, they're both definitely standout songs on the album. But there's a fantastic song, it's track number 8, called Basic Needs. That is the longest song on the album at about 6 minutes, 15 seconds. And this was actually my favorite song to watch him play live at that show at the beginning of May. Because in the middle of the song, he has the drummer do this just long, elaborate drum solo. And I'm like, that's really cool. Hopefully, you know, the recorded song does some justice. And then I listen to the album and I find out that drum solo is on the album. That wasn't just something he had him do for the show. Again, this is his solo album. He lets the other musicians have their time to shine on the record. So there's a fantastic kind of tribal-esque drum solo instrumental section in the middle of the song Basic Needs, which on its own is a slow, passionate, it's a very romantic song, both from a goth standpoint and just from a general standpoint. Like it's definitely a song that you can feel was written for, his wife or girlfriend or whatever. It's a song of love, which is just it's nice to see. This is not the kind of thing that would ever survive on a Korn album ever. But also as a testament, I don't mean to keep referencing the concert as opposed to the album, but they were kind of a simultaneous experience for me, because I got to see this album perform beginning to end at a show, and everybody who was at the show were Korn fans, because this is Jonathan Davis, so there was a lot of people there with Korn shirts who were, like me, curious to see what we were going to get. And I was so amazed how during some of the slower, more intimate pieces, how many Korn fans were still standing around. I remember one guy just didn't talk to him the whole night. He just randomly looks at me and goes, "This album is going to be amazing." And that's what I really think, where I really think Jonathan Davis succeeded with this is music that on the surface doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would be for Korn fans or for metal fans in general. But similar to what Sully Erna from Godsmack did with his solo album, Jonathan Davis didn't try to pander or go so far off the rails it was unrecognizable. He just did what he knew felt worked best. And, I mean, quality is quality. You can't, when talent and quality is there, everyone's going to recognize it. I might not particularly listen to a particular artist or band, but if their talent is present, I'm not going to deny their talent. I might just say I don't like the music. With this album that Jonathan Davis did, it's the same thing. Even if you're not a fan of the album as a whole musically, you can't deny the amount of talent and precision that went into the production of it. The most else I can really say about this album is that it's another one that it's 50 minutes long, 50 minutes 20 seconds. So it's a good album for a car ride or for that decompressing when you get home from work. Just sit down, put on the headphones, and play it through. It's a great one to have to just get you into a certain kind of mood. It's definitely an emotional album. So depending on what emotional state you're in when you listen to it, you might have a different reaction to it. This might make you sad. This might help you deal with sadness. This might, like in my case, just kind of feel refreshing, feel refreshed in terms of like, this is something new I haven't heard before that I can really and truly experience for the first time. With Jonathan Davis's vocal style, with just enough familiarity that it doesn't feel so alien to me that it's jarring. It's something that's still, with his vocal style, I can still get into that comfort level of like, okay, I know I'm in good hands from a vocal standpoint. Now I can just sit back and enjoy the music. So, Jonathan Davis's new album, Black Labyrinth, came out May 25th, 2018 on Sumerian Records, and I highly, highly recommend that everyone check this out. It is quite the experience to have from a musical standpoint. The large cast of people who believed in this album enough to help Jonathan Davis make it happen. Ever since he did that soundtrack for Queen of the Damned, you can tell everybody was ready to help him do whatever he wanted. So it was great to hear this, and I can't do anything but give it 4 out of 4 purple stars.
There you go, Bo.
Oh, man, made it through that whole thing without coughing, and then, boom, right at the end.
It's okay, buddy.
I'm going to drink some tea.
Sweet tea.
I know I've been on the goth rock kick later. No, God, not sweet tea. It's just some ginger green tea. God.
Interesting.
But yeah, so like I said, I know I've been a lot of the stuff I've done lately has been on kind of the goth rock, synth rock umbrella. But man, those are the guys that are putting out some of the best music right now. Are those smaller, lesser talked about genres of music?
I will wholeheartedly agree with that.
So yeah, there you go. That's Black Labyrinth by Jonathan Davis. We are going to take a very brief break, and when we come back, I can't wait to hear what Robert has in store for us. So sit back, relax, and we'll be back in roughly a minute from now, and we'll hear from Robert.
There's a reason they call them lazy Sundays. There's nothing better than sitting around and enjoying the comforts of a good book. But what book should that be? Well, every Sunday, Eventide brings you The Bookseller, hosted by Jessica Gillen. Each week, Jessica breaks down a different book and tells you everything you need to know before cracking it open and getting lost in a whole new world. Tune in every Sunday for The Bookseller with Jessica Gillen, brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
You know, there's nothing quite as satisfying as a good conversation with intelligent company. Join comedian Don Smith every week as he sits down and talks with comedians, actors, filmmakers, writers, and everyday schmoes. It's The Life with Don Smith, Wednesdays at noon on 106.9 FM, and now available on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed every Friday on Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes. If there's one thing that's true about wrestling fans, it's how much they like to talk about wrestling. Join Aaron Lopez and Ben Norsworthy for the Top Rope Wrestling Podcast.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Tune in every episode and be ringside as these two break down all of the big matches in the world of professional wrestling. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment. Welcome back to Track Record. We just got done listening to my scratchy, not very velvet-like voice talk about the new album Black Labyrinth from Korn vocalist Jonathan Davis. Gave it 4 out of 4 shiny purple stars. And now it is Robert's turn to tell us what he thinks or considers or believes or knows to be the best album of May 2018.
Oh, man. I'm sure a lot of people will probably laugh at my choice, but I was bouncing between a few, but I kept coming back to this one. And so it's hard to even say where to start. Who do you consider the fathers of doom metal? If you think back to the 80s, because I think, and it's widely considered that this band is almost the founders of doom.
What you got, man?
This is a band called Candlemass.
Wow, I didn't know they put something out.
Candlemass. Bro, they've been putting out music for like 40 years, man.
They're still around?
Well, looking on their Wikipedia, they've had the only common link is the bassist, the guy who founded the band, Leif Edling. Throughout
Leif Edling is legendary.
Throughout their tenure, and they've gone through, it looks like 6 or 7 different vocalists. So my first introduction to Candlemass was back in college, right pretty much as I was getting into metal. I was a late bloomer to metal. So there's that. There's this video on YouTube. It's a song called Bewitched by Candlemass. It's from their album Nightfall, which came out in 1987. And it's probably like the corniest, campiest, like VHS ass looking ass video you've ever seen. But you have to just give them props for the pure epicness of what the music is. If you take away like the weird video and like the guy with the afro and the he's wearing like a priest robe and it's very, what's the word, campy, corny, if you will, but that doesn't mean that it's I say campy because when you say corny, that means it's probably bad, but campy is more, it has that essence of corny maybe, but it's not bad. And so obviously that video was a different singer. As I said, they've gone through 6 or 7, but their current singer, his name is Mats Levin. Again, I'm not good at pronouncing these names, but I really like it. Reminds me of like the Judas Priest album you made me listen to, or like the early singer for Camelot. It's got that kind of theatrical essence to his voice, and I really like it. But you put that over like brutal doom, breakdowns, and it just is so amazing. And it's not really like cut and dry. This EP that they came out with, an EP that came out on the 25th of May. It's called House of Doom. It's 4 songs. It's pretty short, about 20 minutes. And it's just fun to listen to. Like the first 2 songs especially are the really more straightforward Doom songs. They go into like a kind of acoustic type weird thing on track 3, and then track 4 is just an instrumental Doom piece, a really short one. But it's fun to listen to, and their melodies are actually very nice, and the singer's very, very good. I really didn't know what to expect. Again, because my only avenue for Candlemass was that really terrible video. And so I had to just check it out, and I really liked it. And I don't know, I'm gushing about a Candlemass album right now. It feels weird. Bear with me.
I haven't listened to Candlemass in probably 15 years.
So, and I appreciated how, how classically Doom it is. And they really are they grandfathered this genre. They've been doing it since like 84. And so, it says here that it was the genre Doom was pretty much named after their first album, Epicus Doomicus Metallicus. Whether that's true or not, it may very well could be. But it's just really, it scratches the itch of Doom. And, if you just want kind of that really straightforward, what you expect Doom metal to sound like, you should check out Candlemass House of Doom EP. Oh, it's a quick little thing. You can get it in, get it out of your system, and just, move on with your day, and then you can go back and do it again, and you can just enjoy it over and over until your asshole explodes with delight. And I don't know what else to say, man. I felt weird picking this, but it's like I kept gravitating towards it. Maybe part of me just wanted to talk about Candlemass, and so there you have it.
Hey man, I like my doom metal, and
It's what you expect doom to sound like.
okay.
And it's just like you can go to their Bandcamp, candlemass.bandcamp.com. You can go to the Napalm Records Bandcamp, find it there. You can listen to it on YouTube.
Are they on Napalm?
Yeah.
Oh, good for them.
And I know, right? That's not bad. And it's $4, $1 a song, totally worth it for a little EP. Can't go wrong. And they've got, I mean, if you look at their discography, they've literally put out like 15 EPs and like 10 studio albums, live albums, compilation albums, demo albums. Like they've got a lot of music out there. And I think
their catalog is massive.
Yeah, I think that they may be underappreciated. I mean, being a Doom fan myself, I never really gave Candlemass the correct light of day, I think. And so I need to go back and see what they were all about all these years, because I like what I hear. It makes me giddy.
I am gonna
satanic
definitely get
excitement.
a hold of this. The satanic. That's the thing. If you, whether or not you're a Satanist, if you love the satanic elements of metal, doom metal is for you. It's
just darkness. It's doom. Like it's gloriously gloomy. But Candlemass, the lyrics, they take it to a whole new level with the lyrics. The lyrics are actually not bad. They're kind of what you would expect from a doom album. But I like the wordplay. I like the word choice. It's good stuff.
House of Doom. It's as simple as it can get, and sometimes less is more.
That's right.
Plus, doom metal doesn't sound like it used to anymore. Like, nowadays you get Ghost. Ghost is considered doom metal.
What I have discovered a lot whenever I find a band that's labeled doom is more of the stoner doom.
Yeah.
Which has kind of, the very stoner metal. It's very riffy, slow, bluesy tones. And that's a lot of the doom that I find that seems to be popular now. But I like just the classic, just heavy, a nice simple yet still affecting melody, and just rock it out, man. I like it.
Well, it's like you mentioned earlier, in an early episode of the show, I had Robert listen to the album Nostradamus by Judas Priest, and there's a song on there called Death that I remember you mentioning liking. That is, even though it's Judas Priest, that song Death is just 100% glorious doom metal.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite kind of metal. I love my fast stuff, don't get me wrong, but I love the stuff that's slow, because I talked about that album by the band Frail last time. Mm-hmm. I love stuff that's slow, that every beat of the drum punches you in the face deliberately. It's riff driven, and it's that less is more It's not a lot of crazy pinch harmony and arpeggios. It's just riff, and it lets the music speak for itself. That's the kind of stuff that I'm a big fan of that I don't get enough of these days, especially not from modern doom metal. I feel like some of the best doom metal style songs are done by bands that are not doom metal.
Yeah. And just to go kind of down this little rabbit hole, an offshoot of the genre that I like is called funeral doom. And that's the really slow, verging on black metal type doom metal. I might have talked about, I have to find that band, because if we're talking about doom right now, there's, I've got it right here, guys. A band called Bell Witch. I mentioned it before. They put out an album called Mirror Reaper, and it's an album, but it's actually just one song that's 80 minutes long. And that's probably the most prime example of funeral doom that you can find. There's another band called Red Moon Architects, and they're not easy to find. You can find their stuff on YouTube, but as far as like Bandcamp or whatever, they don't really delve into that. But doom's a good genre.
Yeah.
And Candlemass does it right, boy.
I'm gonna have to pick those up, because I first listened to Candlemass when I was in high school, and that was when I was still kind of coming into my taste for metal, and at that time it didn't really click with me like other stuff was. I have revisited it over the years. Like, I'll hear a song and I'll be like, blah blah blah, this is by Candlemass, and I'll be like, this is Candlemass? This is not what I remember. But
yeah.
I'd love to get back into it.
You audience, if you haven't watched the video for the song Bewitched, go do yourself, have the pleasure of that in your life, because it's a good song. It really is. Just the video is hilarious. That's just these like goth dudes in the woods, and like
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Their singer for the longest time was a guy who basically dressed like a monk.
Yeah, and he's got this crazy hair, and but he's got a great voice. No denying it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
you can definitely tell this is the kind of thing that was an inspiration, like you mentioned earlier, to stuff like, early Camelot.
Yeah.
Especially if you listen to the song like March of Mephisto, which is another example of a non-doom metal band doing a great doom metal song.
Yeah, I mean, if you take away the power metal bass lines and drum beats, and replace it with, more crunchy shit, in Camelot you'd have doom.
Yeah.
Essentially. Maybe talk about, like death a little more or something, but
well, that's what the song March of Mephisto does. They open up the album The Black Halo with it, and it's a very slow punch song with just basic riffs and a slower drum and bass pattern.
Yeah.
The song is March of Mephisto. It's literally a song about the devil. So it's
Mephistopheles.
So, yeah, man. What we're really trying to say here, kids, is listen to doom metal, because doom metal's good shit.
It is. If there was one type of metal that I would want to play, it would be doom metal.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, I would probably lean towards, as far as like what I'm capable of playing, probably is more of the funeral doom. I'm not a good metal player. What's really hard to mix is metal. haven't figured it out yet.
Yes.
And so there's that.
But yeah, so kudos to producers who do a good job on metal, because God, it's tough.
Yeah, I haven't solved that Rubik's Cube yet.
We need to practice more.
One day, we do have we've pretty much patented a band name for our metal project whenever it may be in the future. And I made a
Life's got to calm down a little bit first.
Yep. We'll see what happens.
You did make a sick logo.
Thanks, man. It was fun. I like making metal.
Oh yeah.
The metal logos.
It's one of my favorite memes online is like the pile of branches on the ground. It's like, oh, look at that cool death metal logo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I like too how like like with the different genres, depends on like how spiky or how non-spiky and hard to read it is. Like just like the really obscure metal, like the black metal and the extreme metals, like it's just spiky lines. And
I feel like it's a marketing ploy so they can be like, hey, look, at least if we suck, nobody will know what our name is.
Yeah, I've seen there's this band called it's just a sequence of zeros and ones, like 20 characters of it.
So their name is just in binary code.
Yeah, but they have their logo and it's just like it looks crazy.
Oh, I found it.
Did you?
I just found it. I just typed in metal band binary code, and yeah,
it's literally like 20 characters of just zeros and ones, right?
Yeah, and if you translate it, the binary code translates to OVNI, which is the Spanish, Italian, and French. It's basically the European acronym that they use for UFO. So in English, we call it a UFO. In Europe, they call it an OVNI, whatever that is.
That's
awesome. That's what the binary code translates to. That is fantastic. I love that. Oh,
so there you go.
So good.
Metal people, get with it.
OVNI. I really want to know what that actually does stand for. Oh, it's because they're the way those three languages are structured. It translates to let's do the Spanish one. It's objeto volador no identificado.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's basically this. It's the exact same initials in Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and French.
Gotcha.
So that is clever as shit. You learn something new every week on this show.
There you go. Binary. The language of the future. Anyways, I think for the first time on this particular format of our show, I'm only going to give 3 out of 4 purple stars.
Really?
It's really good, but I don't know. It's a little EP, it's 20 minutes. It's you jam out and then it's over and you're like, meh, that was Candlemass. Okay.
Yeah. From a band with such an extensive catalog, you kind of expect a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah. Supposedly they're going to come out with a full length soon is what the buzz is, but we'll see.
Well, good.
3 out of 4. It's not bad by any means. It scratches the doom itch again, but at least make an EP like 6 songs. Come on.
Right. Why stop at 4? 5 or 6? Come on. You got 2 more in you.
There you go. 1 more. That's all I want. Is that too much to ask? Probably.
I don't think so, but
fine. Give it a 4 out of 4.
EP.
Why am I giving it a 3 out of 4 just to be a douche? What the hell? What's wrong with me? It's just because it's like that video comes back to haunt me. I'm literally, oh yes, I'm gonna watch it right now. Audience, go watch it right now.
Well, let's put a link to it in the description.
We should. It looks like it was filmed on, like those like camcorders that, they used to have in the 80s. They would film like, you ever seen like a video of yourself when you were a kid? You were like in like some sort of recital in elementary school, and it's just got that fucking VHS look on it. It's exactly what this looks like.
It is low budget as shit.
I love it.
So good. It's so good.
Anyway, we're not gonna sit here and just watch this while you guys listen to us react to it. But
because Robert, I think we do have a show.
Oh, snaps.
Oh, snuck that in there.
There you go. I'm sorry, I'm entranced right now.
All right,
we're becoming bewitched.
We've got it. We've got ourselves a show. Make sure you guys go check out the video. Oh, I just figured out what you did there. Okay, go check out the video for Bewitched by Candlemass. Check out their new EP, House of Doom. Check out Jonathan Davis's new solo album, Black Labyrinth. And
check out eventideent.com.
Oh yeah, eventident.com. Get access to all the music we're putting out, as well as all the other podcasts on this network.
We've got a brand new EP out from Stylus, the soundtrack to Monarch.
EP. My new short film, which is available.
Mike's new short film.
Available on YouTube. It's pretty easy to find. Just type in Monarch short film, and it's 20 minutes long. Can't go wrong. Yeah, lots of good stuff happening, and more new music on the way at some point. And we'll be back next week with some new picks for you guys to listen to.
We will.
So make sure you do all that, and we will see you guys next Wednesday, same time. Please do it. We're asking nicely, and we love you. We love you all so much.
Yeah, for the most part. We love each other.
We do.
That counts. I love you, man.
Love you, buddy.
Okay, bye, audience.
Bye.